Hey guys, so I wanted to come on here and review the microfiber sponge. If you haven't already seen this, Nikki Tutorials did a review on this. I think it was like a couple of months ago, probably a little bit more to be fair. I didn't get the same one that she got from the exact same company. I basically have like a dupe of this. I found this on, I believe it was AliExpress. I'll leave the link down below. I was trying to find this everywhere. I searched high and low, and it was a lot of people were advertising this, well, regular beauty sponges as the microfiber sponge, and I had to wait until I found a link where it was very blatantly obvious that it was the microfiber beauty sponge. So first of all, this is like super squidgy. I think this is like one of the squidgiest sponges I've ever owned. I've never owned an actual beauty blender. I think the closest that I've owned, I think it's a Maybelline one that I use at the moment, and that's quite soft. But this is just like super duper soft. So I don't have to worry about, you know, it being hard on my skin. I haven't yet used this, but it is like just so soft. It's so soft. Now I am going to use this for my foundation. I don't usually use sponges for my foundation. I usually use brushes. So this is going to be a little bit odd for me. So I don't know, am I supposed to wet this? I think I'm supposed to wet it, so that's what I'm gonna go and do. I've already done my eyes, I've already done my brows, I've already primed as well. So let's get straight into it. Okay, so I have gone and wet it, and it has expanded in size. I wasn't expecting it to do that. I'm not too sure why. Why wasn't I expecting it to do that? I'm not too sure if this is like this material the whole way through, or if it is like a sponge on the inside with this over the top. I'm not 100% sure. I think it might be this material the whole way through, because it's like when I move it, it's not, as a top layer it would move, wouldn't it? But it's not. So yeah, okay, that's that. Oh, also, it came in this cute little bag, O2O bag. I wasn't expecting it to come in that bag either, but I think it's cute. So once I've used it and I've dried it out, I can store it without worrying that it's gonna get dust all over it. And let's be honest, I probably wouldn't even know, because look at the material. So I'm using my everyday foundation, which is the Revolution Conceal and Define. And this sponge, I believe was it just over £2 or something like that? Okay, so now I'm gonna go in with that sponge. Okay, so the foundation is drying on my forehead. The reason why I have to mention that is simply because it's taken me so long to blend out the foundation on the rest of my face that the rest of the foundation on my forehead is drying up. And normally when I'm using my brushes, I don't have to take as long to blend out the foundation on my face, so I'm able to do my initial application all over my face, knowing that it's not going to dry too fast. I must say though, it hasn't soaked up a lot of the product. A lot of it is still on my face rather than in the sponge. Like obviously you're going to get some on the sponge, but it's not to the point where it's like, oh, I'm having to reapply and reapply. Like I feel like there's a sufficient amount of foundation still on my face, and I don't feel like I need to put on more. Okay, let's see how this fares doing underneath my eyes. What I will say is that what I have found is that when I'm doing this motion, the tip just kind of, can you see that? It just kind of goes away. It doesn't like maintain its structure. It just kind of, like the tip really isn't that useful, to be fair. Unlike my Maybelline sponge, the tip remains straight and up. No matter how much you're pouncing, it doesn't like collapse. Now obviously, as I've said, this is one that I got from AliExpress. It did not come from the exact same place that Nikki got hers, so I wouldn't say that it's a fair comparison to say that this is going to work the exact same way as the one that she reviewed, because they have basically duped this as far as I'm aware. Okay, so I'm taking my concealer, I'm gonna go in under the eye as I normally do. And let's put this sponge to work. Okay, I'm not as keen on this for my under eyes. I think it's not as precise for the under eye because, as I said, it doesn't retain the tip. It kind of squashes down. So I can't really get into the places that I want to get in. I can't control where the product is going, as well as my other sponge. Okay, so I've gone and I've finished the rest of my makeup, and I will say that I do feel like this sponge here is really good for if you want to have a full coverage look but you use a sponge. Like, I don't use a sponge, I prefer to use a brush. I still prefer to use a brush. This is not going to replace my foundation brush. What I did notice after I'd finished using it is that there are a couple of streaks here where the foundation had dried before I can get over to that side. So I would advise that if you are going to be using this sponge, like, put your foundation on and then blend it out, and then put the foundation on and then blend it out, rather than doing your whole entire face, because depending on the foundation that you have, you might find that the foundation has dried before you can get round to that particular side, and then it's like a mess. So I've noticed that there are a couple of streaks. I don't know if I can fix it, but it is what it is. Also, this tip thing here, I don't think that it really does much. I feel like it doesn't really get in underneath the eyes the way I'd like it to. So I went back to using my regular beauty sponge, which is a little bit firmer. This is a little bit too soft. It's not moving the product enough because it's just too soft. So for my contour on my cheeks and my nose, I went back to using my own sponge, and I saw a big difference simply because I have it's tough enough to move the product, but it's still soft enough where I'm not hurting my skin. But yeah, this tip here, I don't feel like it does much. As soon as you pounce it on the face, the tip kind of disappears, unlike my own sponge where I pounce it on my face, and because it's got enough firmness to it, it retains its shape. This just doesn't seem to do that. So I definitely would not advise it for underneath the eyes to do your concealer, because you're going to have trouble getting up into that high point right there in between the eye and nose, and being able to blend it out effortlessly. That's just not going to happen, unfortunately. But the pro of this sponge is that at least it's a sponge that does not soak up all of the product. It allows you to do the entire face, and you maintain that full coverage look that you're looking for, and you wouldn't have to worry about going and dipping in again over what you've already done, because your tool has soaked up the majority of the product. Like, there's barely anything on there, to be 100% honest with you. Like, I've seen so much worse. But yeah, I'm impressed with it on that front, but aside from that, I don't feel like this is going to be replacing anything in my beauty tools, makeup tools kit for the moment. I'm not 100% sold on it, so I might revisit at a later date, but I'm not 100% sold. Let me know what you think, if you already have this sponge, or if you have a dupe of it, or if you have the original. Like, let me know what your thoughts are. I just wasn't 100% sold on it. Anyway, so if you like this video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.